Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is going to be build part number 2 for the how-to series on model building tube chassis. Before we get going, I just want to say thank you to those of you guys that have liked and commented, or even some of the new subscribers that I've gained over the last few days. I really appreciate it, and that's kind of what keeps me going on this. To answer one of your guys' questions, I hope I'm saying this right, John Pole, you had questioned about making your own 4-link bars. I've never done it, and I wasn't necessarily planning on doing it. This is more of a chassis how-to, but depending on how this build goes, I may or may not go with a full build and actually finish this out in a video style build on this charger. So we'll see how everything plays out, but let's get right into it. I'll show you guys what I've changed up on the build and how I did it. So let's get into it. Well, obviously this looks quite a bit different than when we left off on the first video. The first one we ended with just the 3/4 frame, and then the 2 bars came out and started at an angle out this way. After looking at some videos on YouTube and some reference pictures, I opted to go with a full solid floor plan, and actually this one works out quite well, because if you look at where this sits, it actually lines up right there. It comes right there to the firewall, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. Now the reason I kind of went with this tapered in here is because what I'm going to end up doing is the A pillar is going to come up from here, and then it's going to kind of dive down just a little bit and kind of do one of those multiple angle firewalls here. And then what I'm going to end up doing, I haven't decided if I'm going to go with a piece of, let's see, where do I put it here, this guy, and I can actually bend this over and make it from here to here. And all I did with this stuff, you got to be kind of gentle with it, but you can actually bend it almost into a circle if you're gentle with it. The other big thing with this stuff, I make this look easy because you guys just see the finished product, but this is all leftover, and the biggest thing about doing this kind of stuff is you want to keep your scraps. This is one of the pieces that I accidentally broke trying to do this guy here. So keep your scraps. You never know when you're going to be able to use, even if it's just an inch off one side or the other. Keep all that kind of stuff, because you'll end up finding a place for it somewhere else in the build. So what I'm going to end up doing tonight is we're going to start on the main hoop, the rear hoop on this guy, and like I said in the first video, we're going to use this one as a reference because it actually is the proper height inside the car. It goes all the way to the roof like I want it to, and then the only other real thing that we're going to change is this halo hoop here. So everything's going to be scratch built. I'm not going to use anything off of this. I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is and kind of use it as a reference, but we're going to get going on that. I'm going to get it bent up, and then once I do, I'm going to come back and show you guys pretty much exactly how I did it. Guys, so we got the rear main loop bent up, and to do that, what I ended up doing, using this as a reference, I started down here and then I ran up and I marked on my styrene right above that bar, and then I held my pliers below the mark so that my bend would be on that mark, and I bent up, and then I marked at the bottom of this post here and then bent across, and then did the same thing on this side. Now, like I said before, this stuff is pretty fragile and it's pretty easy to break. So one thing you can do is you can use a lighter. Just a quick hit of heat will help this bend a lot easier. And I mean just real quick, a second, maybe 2 tops, but you don't want to hold it there for a long time, or this stuff gets really flimsy and then you kink it, and then all sorts of bad stuff starts happening. So that's probably the easiest way I've found to mimic bends. So, and it doesn't look flat. It's not quite flat, but the nice thing about this stuff is in those bend spots, you can actually kind of twist it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get this glued on, and I'll be right back with you guys. So I got the rear main hoop glued in, and I went ahead and bent up the top halo bar. And to do that, because when you do these bends, the natural instinct of the plastic is to try and straighten back out. So what I did is I actually laid it on its back like so. I took some of your baking soda, and I put just a little bit in each corner where I wanted it to glue down, and then I glued the ends of the halo bar, and then just dropped it on there, held it on there for just a couple seconds, and then voila, it is right there where I want it to be. So I think this is where we're going to leave it for the night, and then when we come back, I may have the A-pillars in place, and if I do, I'll go ahead and show you guys how I did that. And then from there, we'll start working towards the dash and then working forward. And then after that, I got a buddy of mine that's going to be giving me a set of front and rear tires, some bigs and skinnies. So we'll be measuring up the rear for that, and then maybe turn this thing into a roller here pretty quick. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, leave a thumbs up if you found this helpful, and stay tuned for the next one. I'll talk to you guys later.